And the Democrats' number one focus is still exactly where they've always been, H.R. 1, to change the election laws, to rig an election to give them an ability to win when they should not, to put a speech czar to tell us what to say, to use campaign finance to fund these elections, to weigh the federal election committee to one-sided on the Democratic side. Now, we've been able to stop that. It's over in the Senate, but you've watched what they did last week when we were out. Tried to politicize January 6th, and everybody believes what happened on January 6th was wrong beyond wrong. But as just you showed that clip, Speaker Pelosi and some are doing the research, using Hamilton, a fundraiser, they say, as that was used back in October 2020 for Act Blue. It really should be a different focus about securing our border, getting small business back to work, make it easier, not harder, to open a small business.
Yeah, guys, we wouldn't want to politicize January 6th. Could you imagine politicizing an event where a politician tried to stage a coup so that he could retain his spot as president despite losing the election? The audacity of the Democrats to try and politicize something like that. What's next? Politicizing elections? Politicizing campaign rallies? Politicizing legislation? I mean, talk about a desperate attempt to rewrite history. The idea that January 6th is anything but political is so ridiculous that it's almost beyond parody. So that we're clear, what happened on January 6th is that Donald Trump was so hell-bent on stealing an election that he and the rest of the Republican Party spent every waking hour trying to convince their supporters that, in fact, it was the Democrats who stole the election. And they continued that lie over and over and over to the point where enough people were so incensed as the direct result of Trump's lies and Trump's incitement that they showed up to kill a bunch of politicians in the Capitol as retribution and to force Congress not to certify the results. If you can find a more political event, I'm all ears. If Kevin McCarthy really doesn't want to politicize January 6th, he might have considered his own words that helped lead to the events of January 6th, like this, immediately following the election.
They didn't defeat one Republican incumbent, and they lost 15. And President Trump won this election, so everyone who's listening, do not be quiet. Do not be silent about this. We cannot allow this to happen before our very eyes. We unite together. You don't need to be a Republican. You believe in every legal vote needs to count. You believe in the American process. Join together and let's stop this.
Or this.
You're concerned with what happened on that day, but you're concerned what happened on the days before it that caused that day to happen.
Or this.
If there was something that was wrong in this election, we do not want to repeat it for the future either. Just as we watched in the race in 2000, it carried out more than 37 days because there were court cases. They were heard. I think when you have more than 150 million Americans voting, let's make sure we get this right.
And yet, despite fomenting all of that uncertainty that the Republican Party's base fed into, culminating into the events of January 6th, he's now pretending that suddenly we wouldn't want to politicize anything. Yeah, God forbid. And so when Kevin McCarthy complains that the Democrats' focus is on H.R. 1, on voting rights, he's exactly correct. It is on H.R. 1, and that's the direct result of people like Kevin McCarthy who've helped spread the big lie, which has served as a justification for local and state politicians to enact voter integrity laws restricting the rights to vote based on that lie. Republicans have already broadcast, in broad daylight, their intention to do whatever necessary to steal the next election. Between gerrymanders, between eliminating drop boxes in densely populated counties that normally vote for Democrats, between allowing Republican-controlled legislatures to reorganize local elections boards, between eliminating weekend voting, between getting rid of polling places in minority-majority districts, and on and on. I mean, hell, they literally tried to lay siege to the US Capitol. So let's not kid ourselves into thinking that we're not facing an unprecedented and dire threat to democracy. If Democrats' top priority wasn't voting rights, that would be a massive dereliction of duty. McCarthy might complain about it like he and Republicans are somehow the victims here, but they're the culprits. They are why Democrats need to spend this time trying to shore up democracy, because Republicans recognize that they can't win with their platform, and so in order to entrench the minority rule they rely on, they have to rig the game in their favor. So they'll whine to curry favor, just like they did in the lead up to the January 6th insurrection, but it's already clear that the only way Republicans can win is if they cheat. To see more videos like this, click the subscribe button right here on this screen. And if you want to support my work, subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen. I cover the most important stories each week, and my guest is always one of the top political figures, including Vice President Kamala Harris, Jen Psaki, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Nancy Pelosi, Katie Porter, Cory Booker, and so many more. The podcast link is also right here on this screen, so give it a listen and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.